Hey YouTube, I'm Rocket, and this is part 3 of my Nest HackTheBox walkthrough. So, in the previous video, we ended up going into Carl's directory, who happens to be part of the IT staff, and we found this Visual Basic project. And in this video, we're going to go debug that project and see if we can't find any goodies. Alright, so let's get to that. First off, I am going to be loading up this project into Visual Studio on a Windows machine. So, as I do that, I am going to spin up this one here. My apologies, I should have had it running beforehand. And in the meantime, I'm going to compress all these files so I can just download them all at once and then unzip them. So to do that, I'm just going to run the zip command, -r, to recursively zip all contents. I'm just going to call it carl.zip. And let's take VB projects. Cool. So we have our files. We have carl.zip right here. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check what my IP address is in my VMware network. I'm going to take this and run spin up an HTTP server with Python 3. So to do that, we'll just go Python 3-m for module http.server and then --bind to specify the the network interface to bind to, and hit enter. I'm going to copy this right here because we are going to need this. Go to Builder, log in, and we're going to spin up Visual Studio. While Visual Studio loads, I'm also going to download that file. So, alright. So I'll go to my source directory, go to repos. At this point, I'm going to download this with PowerShell. So I'll say new object. System.net.web client, and then .download file. We'll pass the, that did not copy right, didn't it? We'll copy this. And I think it was called carl.zip. And we'll put that in here, and we'll just call it carl.zip. So we download that, do an ls, we download it. Alright, so now we're gonna unzip it. So explore here, extract files, sure. Alright, let's go to work in progress, and let's open up the file. I don't need this other window open. Alright, so we have our project. One of the first things I like to do when I open up a Visual Studio project is look for the main function. So I'll just look for main right here. And we found it. Alright, so let's open this. And it brings us directly to the main subroutine. And it looks like it takes a config file called ruconfig.xml. If you recall from the previous video, that looks awfully familiar. And then we see something with a password. Password equals utils.decrypt string config.password. So in the ruconfig.xml file, that was where the c.smith's encrypted password was. So just from looking at the main function, just immediately here, it looks like, hey, we have found the tool to decrypt the password and get it. Unfortunately, it doesn't print it out. It just loads the password into a SSO integration data structure. So that seems like a reasonable project for an IT person to work on. But yeah, let's see if we can't decrypt the password. So generally speaking, programs do expect a certain format. So we can't just copy the password directly over. We do need to bring this file over. So to do that, I am also going to transfer that file the same way I did the zip file. So let's get out of here. And let's go to, I think I put in the loot directory if I recall correctly. I did not. It's in the SMB. All right. Let's just find it. We'll just call it. The name can be anything. Let's say ru.xml. There we go. If you're curious what I did here, basically I just said, hey, find everything, find all files that contain ru and end with XML, and do a case-insensitive search for files with this naming convention. Anyways, let's go to this directory right here. That didn't work because I forgot to quote it. And then you need to quote it because there's a space between ru and scanner. All right, make sure that this file looks good. Cool. So we'll notice that this ru._config.xml has a small c right here. The actual program expects a capital C. So when we download it, we need to make sure that we name it with this right here, or we could just do that. So I'm just gonna keep it like this. All right, so let's spin up the HTTP server. So python 3-m http.server, and I think my network interface is so IPAS EF0. This is my network interface right here. So I'm gonna take this and we're just gonna bind to it. Perfect. So we'll take this, we'll just copy this here, and you'll see why. So I'm gonna spin up the PowerShell prompt from before. And you can, in PowerShell, you can also recursively search back in your history with Control-R. So I'm just gonna search for the bracket new object, and we get the previous command, which is very convenient. But instead of carl.zip, we are going to be downloading this file right here, ruconfig.xml. So let's just download it in the same spot. Make sure to name it with a capital C because that's what this program expects. It's a capital C. So let's hit enter. And we have our ruconfig.xml. So let's type it just to justify. ruconfig. Cool. The next thing is we need to go and build this project. So in Visual Studio, the keyboard shortcut to do that is Control-Shift-B. We definitely want a debug build because we are going to be breaking right here, so we can start debugging this test structure. And we have an executable. Cool. So one thing to note is as soon as this program executes, it will look for an ruconfig XML in the same directory where the binary is running. So we are going to need to move our ruconfig XML to this directory right here. So let's copy this. Go here. And we're going to move the ruconfig XML file to this directory right here. That didn't work because, again, whenever paths have spaces in them, you always need to quote them. Always. Cool. All right, now we need to go into that directory. Cool. And now, I'm not going to run the executable directly from the PowerShell command line because I want to debug it in Visual Studio. So let's head back over here, and let's just put a breakpoint right here. And let's go start. So program's running, seems to be running without any problems. And okay, so it managed to load the right password, which this is the encrypted version. And because it stored the password into this data structure right here, we can go down here and expand the config, and we should... Oh, sorry, that's the wrong structure. You need to look at the test structure. Yeah, because it goes in test, not config. My bad. But yeah, we do find something that actually looks like a password. So rx, pancakes, rx. So let's take that. quickly take note of that. Let's go back to our Kali machine. Close this because we don't need that. Trying to find my creds file. Okay, here we are. So maybe we'll just call this one here notes. So go to creds. So instead of this encrypted stuff right here, we can paste the actual password, and instead of saying to do, we can just say LDAP. Amazing. All right, so at this point, we can try authenticating as a CSmith user. So let's go back to, let's copy this, and let's go back to our SMB tab. So let's go SMB client. We'll paste the password. Make sure it's c.smith. Use the percentage character to delimit the username and password. And we'll go to the nest.htb and we'll go to the user share. Do an ls and we should be able to go into the c.smith directory. And it looks like we have the user flag. Excellent. One last thing I'd like to try, I didn't show this in the previous videos, but it should be part of anyone's SMB enumeration process, but that is trying to just get remote code execution on the host just by authenticating via SMB. And you can do that with the psexec command. So let's run a psexec.py. psexec is from the Impacket suite, which should by default be installed on Kali. And let's run this to see how to run it. So basically just say SMB exec. Oh, sorry, that's SMB exec. I wanted to run psexec. So we couldn't run psexec, and that's because none of these shares are writable by the CSmith user. So we tried, it didn't work. You could try the same thing with the temp user or anonymously, but to be frank, like if the CSmith user isn't going to have that, then chances are that the other users won't be able to write to these shares either, but you should still try. All right, so that's going to be a wrap up for this video, and I will see you in part 4.